I have my own experiences of skill gaps, Bini. And when I look at a customer portfolio being done by a Filipino, CSAT comes in the third quarter or a fourth quarter. We take cages. Okay. For me, after running an airline business for I was head of HR of that unit. We become furniture. I'm 2 decades with Wipro, so they keep passing me from a striker to a goalie most of the time, right? Depending on where there is a lot of noise, right? We lost a business of about 800 manpower, valuing about $82 million, simply because we could not deliver the so-called customer satisfaction scores for that particular large airline business, which was in Pune. After 10 years of our deliverables, they went with the RFP to be served to the other competition. And believe me, Wipro won, India lost. The entire 800 people seat business went to Philippines. We were bleeding for the next 2 years as far as our top line and bottom line was concerned. But the CSAT scores were shining bright. Third quarter down the line, we were 6 Sigma level of CSAT scores given to our customers. Skill gap, Bini, कहाँ पे है हम लोग?
I think this is a global challenge with skill gap. Although the population of the world has increased significantly, and India, for example, I think has 70% young talent, but you'll hear all the talent acquisition people saying that we are not able to find the right skills and the right talent. Again, I'm going to speak from the perspective of this batch and see what are the skill gaps that you could perhaps address in the world that we are in, which is corporate. And it might seem like terra incognita right now, which is unfamiliar territory. You worked in a purpose-driven organization, and now once you go into the corporate world, you see that purpose is a little bit skewed. So some of the skills that I see are necessary, and I see that when everybody's chasing AI and things like that, I see ancillary industries coming up. I see new domains starting up. So if you are somebody who's not tech savvy, I would say also look at opportunities like change management, because a lot of companies are going through that transition. For example, my ex-boss was recently hired in Microsoft US, and his role was to slowly transition a bunch of programmers and developers to move out, and he's managing that change right now. So program management is one of the skills that I think that folks from the defense could bridge. Then you have project management, you have change management, you also have skills like HR that is often spoken about. But I would say that look beyond HR and administration and security, because you guys are great at operations as well. If I could picture all of you coming together to start a company right now, I think this would be one of the most successful organizations for the fact that you already have funding that somebody has promised, and also the fact that you're great with operations, right? So I think that you have those capabilities to be quite successful. Also, you're coming in at the right time, because the world that we live in, they're tearing down the paper wall. The paper wall was the certificates from big universities and all of that. We've stopped hiring from IIMs and IITs because we see that they come in with a degree, but they don't come in with the experience that is necessary.
You be rest assured, Professor Debolina is
yes,
right there.
I've not completed
right
it.
There.
I've not completed
right
it.
there, be mindful.
Yes. So what we do is we hire people with experience, and who better than the ones that have already seen so much experience in your life. The last thing perhaps that I would say is increase your luck surface area. I think if a lot of you have great skills that to us may not necessarily connect right away, but if you also use things like AI and see how you can show those transferable skills that can apply to the corporate world, you would be able to make it in this space. Because the last example is we struggle with projects. We failed so many projects, but you guys are successful with multi-crore projects, and you also will not let people scope creep. Like if somebody tries to push something, they don't want to mess with the army guys. So yeah.
Wonderful. Asha, I'll jump to you. This conversation in the boardroom is significantly improving over a period of time. Every second board meetings and customer calls and customer conversation is around diversity and inclusion. And if you come to a classroom in IMB, they talk about 15 different diversity, and the popularly well known is the gender one, right? So what's your pitch there? I can see here, I think equal representation, about 50% of gender diverse sitting here. I'm not knowing about other diversity. I know there are 3 services sitting here and they have different ranks. So what's your story there?
Hi, good morning everybody. This year's resolution for me is gratitude. So thanks a lot for calling us here, Dhruv and Devlina ma'am. Okay, so coming to your question, Pravin, right? Today surely diversity is become a topic of board, right? And when I talk in my board meeting, the first thing is they talk about diversity. We have it in our AOP. Forget about other things, right? And when you talk about diversity, it's just not about a male ratio and female ratio. I think that is something which we'll have to overgrow, right? Or probably look beyond that. A diversity can be you can look at the defense itself. I was just reading just before coming here, right? The kind of religion, caste, creed, right? The different opinions what people bring in, that is what is a diversity. And today, the Gen Zs and these kind of people, and as sir told, lot of new companies which are coming in, right? Diversity has become extremely important thing. Okay, coming to the question, the main question, what I feel today with GCC, right? GCC is a very new topic for us, as our friend told. And also diversity is also a very new topic to India. So being Subex, where I work, it's a global company. Being a global company, GCC surely has helped me. There's a huge talent pool there, where I can actually probably go, and not necessarily always as my beloved friend told that the skills for a project manager, the skills have to be exactly same, right? Today, as Sundar sir told, it is not necessarily always the domain. It is also about self-reflection and how camaraderie, what kind of camaraderie you have, right? And your self-learning, that's something very important today. So for me, from a diversity angle, I think that there is a huge pool which I can go and explore, and not necessary it has to be always the person is totally skilled, 100% skilled to what I require. It's absolutely fine a person is 60% or 50% suitable, but the person has the right attitude. And I again reiterate to my beloved friends over here, whoever are looking out or passing out, right? It is not always about exact matching skills. There are many Gen Z companies, there are a lot of new companies who are looking at the attitude. Somebody who's very passionate to learn, right? Who can come and be the game changer, not necessarily exact match. So probably diversity surely has picked up due to GCC. That's what is my take.
Thank you, Asha. I remember this brilliant quote by Nimish Soni when I worked with him, a great leader who worked with Cambridge. He always used to tell me whenever I used to go for campus hiring 20 years back, hire for will, develop skill. Vivek, after you do heavy lifting in talent acquisition, you grow old in 6 years, 60 years. Tough job, conversion percentage doesn't match. Training sucks. People go and tell you saying that people don't qualify. Customer conversations are failed because of poor hiring or good hiring. What is the story here for GCC?
Thank you. So thank you for the question. So first of all, I would like to thank for this opportunity, and it's a great pleasure to be here in front of this esteemed panel and guests. So yeah, I mean, like, we are in the forefront. We are the gatekeepers in talent acquisition. So always the blame come to us, saying like, what have you hired, or what kind of talent are you bringing in, and so on. So definitely, I mean, like, the GCCs have changed. It has evolved a lot more. Coming from starting from the BPO perspectives to going into like more tech focused, and now looking into like the complex technologies and so on, right? So the quality of talent that we seek is also kind of increasing. There's a lot more kind of demand from the stakeholders. So definitely, I mean, like, one of the major challenges. And also, again, the question is like, do we have the right people, right skill sets, or like the right capabilities out in the market, which is also not easy, because you might look for a lot of technical skills or the hard skills, but also the soft skills, which is also really important, especially working in GCCs, right? Because you have global clients and so on. So it's a level up, and also like when you look into a lot more transitioning into skill-based hiring, where you have like a lot more convertible skills and so on, and that's where it comes into picture when we look into program like the defense program, where you have, it's not just like your skills can be applied for just one set of jobs. So there are a lot of transferable skills that you bring in from being in a defense background, which can be applied for, say, for project management, or can be operations. It can be like being a leader for a complex project and so on. So that's where I mean, like, we are trying to convince the tough stakeholders who are our hiring teams and the hiring managers, and then bring in like new perspective, because as Asha was mentioning, it's not just the fixed dimension of diversity in terms of let it be gender, or let it be like any other aspect. So the background is also a huge part of diversity that could bring in a lot more value add when we do the talent acquisition. So the game is changing. It's not an easy conversation, because we have to convince the tough stakeholders, and we have to bring in new perspectives. And definitely, I think you have a lot more to bring into the table, and that will be really interesting.
Okay, let me shift gears. I think a lot of population today talking about whether it is a SpaceX program or a Jack Welch Research Center, or Microsoft's research-based organizations, AI, technology. Rajita, some dope on technology and the sectors which can bring in value for all of us sitting in this room and outside when it comes to technology space. What is in it for us, and how do we leverage it? Why people are looking at us? Do we still have the service advantage, which we spoke about, which was stolen by Filipinos, the product advantage, which is stolen by our close cousin brothers, China, research advantage still exists? Technology still exists? Give me some view.
That's not an easy one, especially when I'm not a technologist. But if I was just to give a bad analogy, okay, let me give one or two analogies and then come back. So I like simplifying things, so it's not going to be rocket science or English, but very, very basic. When you get married, okay, and you get into a household, that relationship takes you anywhere between a year, 2 years, at times 10 years, depending on what your ecosystem is like, okay? So to your point, how do you adjust with technology, and what do you do? The answer is technology is your shifting goalpost. So there's no one thing that if I do this, I will be 100% this. If I do that, I'm going to be there. I think what's important is the transition that you have gotten into a new ecosystem pertaining to technology, and how are you going to cope with the changes in technology, because now change, everybody says change is a constant. I think obviously that's beaten to death, but what's important is how quickly you adapt to that change is what's important. Me, Dhruv and Vivek were talking in the morning, we were just generally talking about the corporate setup. I said the grass always looks greener on the other side. And he's like, yeah, but till the time you don't walk on the grass, you won't know. I said, I totally agree. But it's very important to make an informed decision what you're signing up for. Expecting it to be completely fast, completely bureaucratic free, etc., is not going to happen, even if it's a high-tech company. By the way, I'll give you a very bad example. Anytime you go for a pitch, okay, either with the government or with your client for an IT company, either the projector doesn't work or the mic doesn't work or Teams doesn't work. For whatever reasons, no matter how many times you have tried to demo it, okay, or you're sitting in the RFP. The second point, you spoke of services, right? I think what's happening, unfortunately for us on the services space, is that the market is going on coming down. And if we just talk of, a lot of companies, most of the projects that are being bagged, if we just take India as a country for services, is largely the government projects that we get. All the other projects that are coming in, if we don't shift gears just from IT to application development and business, we're not going to be anywhere. So the 3-layer approach is very important. So for you to see the outside in view becomes very, very important on technology. Now, you spoke of will and skill. I think anybody can learn technology if you have the will. But do you really need to be a technology specialist in a particular area? Is a choice you got to make. Nobody is going to make it. So my other bad analogy, okay, is at home, mama makes nice food, right? The table is laid. And she comes and tells you कि तुमको जो खाना है खा लो, and there are different varieties over there. Okay, there's Indian, there's South Indian, North Indian, South Indian, then you have Italian, Mongolian, whatever. And then how you eat, okay? Do you want to use, if it's Chinese, do you want to use the sticks? Do you want to use your hands? Do you want to use forks? Do you want to use spoon? What do you want to do? So this is exactly the problem that we have on technology today. So once you learn, how you apply the technology also becomes equally important, right? And for us to be very pragmatic in our approach that this is what we need in the industry and this is what will solve this particular problem makes all the difference. And my closing remark, a fool with the tool is still a fool if he doesn't know how to use the tool. That's my 2 cents.